So we are trying to understand how do you compare two things, especially two movies. Here I want to compare between Avatar and Kantara. Definitely there are similarities and there are also differences. But when we see the similarities and how the treatment is different, we can generate lot of spiritual wisdom from the same. So whenever we want to compare two movies, we can compare on the basis of location, culture, character, which is protagonist and antagonist comparison, the language comparison, the goal of the character and the obstacles. These are some of the broad parameters by which we can compare two storytelling movies. If you see, the location of Avatar is Pandora, whereas here it is a village near Udupi, the coastal village. This happens on earth, but that happens on another moon called Pandora. Cultural differences are there, though there is also similarity in the culture. The tree of souls, and here there is the Bhutakola Daiva, the connection with the Daiva, and there in the Avatar movie there is a connection with the tree of souls in the Navi community of Pandora. If you see, they get that connection. The tree of souls, or Eywa, is a Brahman-like network which is connecting the vegetation, the mountain, the forest, with the animal creatures, the wild animals, and the human beings, the Navi residents. So it is a divine connection, and this connection is also harnessed in many ways, and they also don't inflict danger or exploitation on the other. Like in the earth, we humans, we have forgotten that integrated harmonious connection with the vegetation and the animal kingdom. So we try to exploit them for our happiness, whereas we can explore a higher happiness by connecting through the Brahman network, which is very much similar like the Eywa. So like this, there are aspects we can explore by comparing the Kantara movie and the Avatar movie. So we will delve further into this, right? Hare Krishna. The tree of souls in Avatar, which is basically a network of connection. It is a mother, divine mother. It is a connecting network between the animals, the humans, and the vegetation, the forest vegetation. That everything is connected and everything speaks to the another. So if you see on the Navi, on the Pandora, there are no roads because the roads destroy the vegetation. So the animals cooperate the humans for transportation. If you see through Sahelu means they connect to the animal. They establish the divine connection through the Eywa and then use it for transportation. There is a coexistence, there is a collaboration between the different aspects of the Pandora planet. In Kantara, we see the Daiva Panjurli, which is giving the peace to everyone, which is protecting the forest. Right? When the king, the 18th century, is looking for peace, he had everything, but when he is looking for peace, it is Panjurli Daiva or Gulika Daiva which will give him peace. He feels the peace when he encounters the divine agent, the forest gods. And then he leases the forest to the people, and on that condition the Daiva says, I will give you peace. And so many hundreds of years later, when this network was broken, they also get the ill effects of the succeeding generations. So, and the Daiva is similar to Eywa because the Daiva, Panjurli Daiva, is also connecting the vegetation, the animals, the humans, all kinds of living beings. It is the connecting thing. Brahman, brahmaṇo hi pratiṣṭhāham. Śrī Kṛṣṇa says in the Bhagavad Gita that I am Brahman. This Brahman is all-pervading. It is connecting everything, right? And Brahman is also joy. Brahma-bhuta prasannātma. When you connect to Brahman, you connect to everything around you. And you become very prasanna. Brahma-bhuta prasannātma. Na sochati na kaṅkshati. Samas-sarveshu bhuteshu mad-bhakti labhate para. So this is the wonderful insight we get from comparing these two movies. And also the final solution the overcoming of the conflict, the overcoming of the obstacle. How does it overcome? Like the Devendra, the landowner in the Kantara movie, is about to destroy the entire village, and finally the DAIVA enters into the Shiva and empowers him to fight the antagonistic elements and re-establish the love and affection, the bandhavyam between the village residents, the Murli, the forester officer. Even in Kantara, if you see the part 2, it is the connection with Eywa which finally helps them to overcome the antagonism of the RDA, right? The Resource Development Organization from the Earth, who wants to exploit the planet without any cognizance of the underlying connectivity, the divine connectivity. There is a higher energy which is connecting everything. So it is Kiri who feels more connected to the Eywa in the water world. In the water world, the Eywa's aspects are different. Just like Sri Ramachandra begs to the ocean, requests the ocean to leave the path to build the bridge, to assist in building a bridge to Lanka. 3 days he doesn't respond. Then the Lord Rama gets angry. Then the ocean god comes, if you see. So even in our epics, we see there is a connection between nature and the divinity. Because the source is common. Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvaṁ pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. We already know this kind of thing, right? The origin is the same. Aham bija pradapita. Our Father, the Supreme Father, is the same. So like that, we have to learn from these two movies the connectivity with Brahman, and we can how to harness this, and in a love and affection collaborative way we can lead the life. What are the key takeaways from this comparison between Avatar and Kantara? Let us examine the first point, which is conflict and running away. When there is an inciting incident, in both of the cases the character protagonist runs away. Like even Arjuna wanted to run away from the battlefield. I will tell you in a detailed way. So Shiva, when he sees his father vanishing after the Bhutakola event, when he becomes of age, like a teenager or adulthood, he doesn't accept the artist, a Bhutakola artist role, the Bhutakola priest role. He just runs away from his responsibility. He shirks his responsibility. Gurava, his cousin brother, takes up that activity for the benefit of the village, to connect with Panjurli, to invite Panjurli on himself and provide solution to human problems. So even in Avatar, if you see, jakesully runs away to the water world when the RDA is behind him, when his primary villain Quatrich is after him. I want Jake, I want to take revenge on Jake. And so Jake, to protect the tribe, also to protect his family, he runs away from that place rather than giving a fight, because he sees that there will be a lot of destruction to the environment, etc., etc. Similarly, Arjuna here, when he is faced with the prospect of fighting his own grandfather, his own relatives, he says, what is the value of this fighting when I have to kill my own family members? And he puts that question to Krishna, that I will retire from this battlefield, I will drop my arms. It is better to live by begging than at the cost of the lives of my grandfather, my teacher, and my relatives. Of course, then he expressed that to Krishna. But here in Shiva and Jakesully's case, they didn't have a guru like Krishna. So they had to go through very tough experiences finally to realize that it is never wise to run away from conflict. Whereas Arjuna could get the guidance of Krishna, and he fought the war of Mahabharata and he appeared victorious. But I think in the subsequent sequels of Avatar, Jake is going to take head-on the RDA, not run away from it or not do a partial attempt. We saw that in the climax, in the ending scene of the Avatar to Way of Water, where Jakesully, he decides that he will stay put and he will face it rather than running away. So the facing conflict is also, there is a lot of similarity. In all the three cases, in Bhagavad Gita, in the Mahabharata war, Arjuna gets the support of Krishna in terms of weapons. If you take the example of defeating Karna, if you take the example of defeating Dronacharya or Bhishmacharya, there is a divine interference, divine wisdom which is granted, divine hints, divine techniques, which works in favor of Arjuna to defeat the Kauravas. Similarly here, when everything is lost for Shiva, he is totally on the ground. The Dhani, the Devendra, the landowner is winning it. At that time, the Shiva's forehead hits the Panjurli Daiva deity, the stone deity, and then there is an infusion of divinity inside him. He's almost dead. At that time, there is an infusion of divinity in him. It is also seen in Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He was almost dead on the ship, going in a cargo ship with 40 rupees in hand to Boston to preach the message of Bhagavad Gita. He is almost dead in the Pacific Ocean, heart attack. That time the divinity enters. Lord Nityananda is a Lord Balarama, enters into him and he becomes enlivened and he takes over the world for next 10 years, establishes the Krishna Prajna movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Similarly in Avatar, if you see, Kiri gets that connectivity with the Metikayana or the Eywa, and then that infuses, and Kiri gets the control over the sea creatures, the connectivity, and sea creatures starts helping in defeating the opponents. And also it is Eywa which guides them to save Jake, who was almost drowning in the water in the ending. Right? So in all three aspects, the facing conflict, everything physical, we can face the conflict in a physical way by warfare and all this, intellectual way, applying strategy, environmental way, and the technological way. The RDA is using a lot of technology. From the earth, they're coming with a lot of innovative technology. But all this is defeated with the spiritual aspect of Eywa or Brahman or Brahma Śrī Kṛṣṇa. When we connect, we are getting final victorious. We also see Amrita and peace. See, this Amrita cannot be had. Amritamaya Jivana cannot be had by killing animals, tulkuns, and getting that liquid from the body. That is not the way for ultimate peace. Amrita means immortal state. Mrita means mortality. Immortality is Amrita. That is always had. We are already immortal. I am having an immortal existence inside which is dormant. So by connecting, like the Eywa connection or the Brahman connection, through the mantras, friends, the Brahman is coming through the mantras. By that, our awakening of our immortal aspect will happen and we'll find Amrita, not by exploiting animals. Body is going to decay. Body is our mortal self. But since I am believing that I am the body, I am embracing mortality. But accept that you are an immortal soul and you will recover your immortality by the spiritual sadhana process of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So Ahvana in Kantara versus Yoga in Avatar. The Kantara is more powerful because the divine is completely entering into the body. Whereas in Avatar, it's just the yoga, it's a connectivity only, like Sahelu. They connect to those transformation animals, transportation animals. They connect to the Eywa. But the Eywa entering inside is not shown. So Kantara, the integration of divinity is much higher because the divine is taking over the human. The divine is entering, breathing into the human and making the things happen. Naham karta hari karta. Shri Hari is doing everything. Please understand. Allow him to take over you and do wonderful acts in the world. That is the key takeaway from comparison between Kantara, Bhagavad Gita and friends, Avatar, the way of water. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.